Jump. Oh, oh, oh. Hi guys, welcome to the Crested Gecko Q&A. Now you guys sent me loads of questions, so thank you for that. But for the Q&A, what I'm going to do is answer the questions that I can give a short answer to. Any that need a big explanation will probably have a video of their own. So we're just going to kick things off with, do you ever hand feed Isla? If not, will you ever consider it? I did actually hand feed Isla around the time I first got her, just because when I would mix up the rapashi, there'd be some still on the end of the stick, so I just give it to her and she'd just lick it off. I think there's a video of that somewhere on my channel. How often do you feed your gecko? So I put a milk lid of food into her tank for about 2 days, and then by that time it's usually dried out, and sometimes I'll replace it straight away, or sometimes I'll leave it an extra day and then replace it. All I know is this works well for Isla. I don't know if this is true for all crested geckos, but this sort of arrangement works for her and she keeps it a very nice weight. And there's some about handling the gecko. Got it a month ago. It's still jumpy and flighty. It had 3 fairly quick handling sessions. Did let him settle in for a week. Is this normal? Okay, so it would be hypocritical of me to say, yeah, you should leave your geckos for a week, because I never do. To be honest, I leave them for about a day, then I handle them, and they're really tame. But I do think every gecko is different, so if you have one that's really nervous, it will take longer, and you just got to work with individuals, really. So if it took you a week to let him settle in, then fair enough. All I will say is if you've only had 3 fairly quick handling sessions in 3 weeks, then that's probably why your gecko is still jumpy. It's better to be consistent and maybe even handle her every single day, or him, sorry. So naturally they're going to be jumpy. They're crested geckos, that's what they do. But I even find that if I leave Isla for too long between handling her, she is slightly more flighty. So all my advice would be to you is to handle your crested gecko more, and I can promise you it will probably get tame a lot quicker. This person recently got their first crested gecko. It spends most of its time under a leafy area. I'm nervous to pick it up without freaking it out or hurting it. Any suggestions? So take out the leafy area when you want to pick it up. Scoop your hand under its body. Usually its feet will cling onto your hands and you just pull it away. What I will say is make sure it has stuck on your hands, like it's not still stuck on the wall when you pull it, and that its tail's not attached to like a plant or something when you're taking it out. So be mindful of where all its limbs are and its tail. Like my leopard geckos and Isla, I scoop them up. A lot of people try to faff around, try to pick up their geckos, and I think this can make them more nervous. I just scoop them up, it's just easy. Okay, this person has a dark red patternless crested gecko. When he's in his tank, he's a normal colour, and then when he gets him out, it goes palish colour. Does this mean anything? And if so, is it good or bad? So, crested geckos will fire up or fire down, depending on the temperature, whether it's day or night, and their sort of overall mood, I think. I find Isla does this sometimes, and I do wonder if it's because the slight temperature change from her tank to where I'm handling her, or whether it's to do with the fact that when she's in her tank, she thinks it's nighttime, so she is fired up, and then when I get her out, the room light's on and it's light, and maybe she goes pale because she thinks it's daytime. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just their natural firing up and firing down, so I wouldn't worry about that. Just maybe think, is it just because it's a different environment to her tank? Are they still nocturnal? Yes, that does not change. That is pretty much what most geckos are. They're just nocturnal. Are there any difficulties you've experienced with your crested gecko over your leopard geckos? One thing would be that when she goes to the loo, she will go to the loo anywhere, and that's difficult to find. With leopard geckos, they go in one place most of the time, and it's really easy. You go in, scoop them out, and it's done. With crested geckos, it's weird because they don't always just go once. I mean, if they're eating, they could go multiple times, I've heard. I don't know, because I find it so hard to find where she poops. And I don't see it in any of the decorations. I assume it drops to the bottom of her tank, but then it disappears. In all honesty, and I know this sounds terrible, but I've hardly cleaned out any poo from her tank since I last cleaned her out, like fully, because I literally can't find it. And I don't know if it goes into the eco-earth and gets broken down, because when they poo, it's like really like fluidy, and I think that's because naturally if they're up in a tree, they don't want it sticking on their tree, they want it to drop to the bottom. And I wonder if the little bugs that live in the eco-earth actually break it down, because it's just like liquid. So it's really weird. She never really goes on the floor of her tank, so she probably doesn't experience it. And I have obviously scooped some poo out. It's not like there's heaps of like mysterious poo gone missing. But I have to say, compared to leopard geckos, trying to spot clean I find to be very difficult. And I know someone told me a while back about having a fully natural tank and having like the clean-up crew in the bottom, which is just a natural like insects or something, clean it all up. I think I have that. There's something in the eco-earth, it's taking the poo away. It's the weirdest thing. So that is one of the weird things. When is the best time to handle your crested gecko? In the evening time, since they're nocturnal. Is she a good eater, and how did you come up with the name? Yeah, she's a good eater. Obviously we have rapashi left over because it dries really quickly. I'm going to try her with some new food soon, but that'll be in a future video. And how did I come up with her name? I just really like the name. There's an actress, Isla Fisher, and I've always liked her first name, so yeah, eventually I just chose that one. Has Isla grown much since you got her? Because this person got there 6 months old. It hasn't grown much, and he is putting on weight, but it still looks the same. I'm sort of in the same boat as you. I got her when they said she was 6 months old. She was 23 grams when I got her in August, and by November she was 29 grams, and by January she's gone back down to 26 grams, and since then she's just consistently been about 26 grams. I think she grew maybe half a centimetre or a centimetre, but yeah, she didn't really change too much. Is it good to get a gecko under 6 months? It is, it's totally fine if you want that. All I'll say is that they are smaller, they're a lot more jumpier, and also one of the problems I found is that you would need to get a smaller tank for them because a big tank might be too tall for them. So that's why I sort of wanted a crested gecko that was over 6 months. And finally, will you ever get another cresty, maybe a male? Really love your videos, by the way, thank you. I don't really have any plans to get another crested gecko. It doesn't really matter with the gender because I don't think I'd probably breed my geckos anyway. So not at the moment, no. It's more like a leopard gecko like room with like Isla. Isla's like the one, the crested gecko. They're just a little odd one out there. I just like her being the only one really. So, thank you for all those questions. As I said, I have loads, so they'll probably pop up over the summer. I'm pretty sure my channel is going to be filled with crested gecko videos over the summer. So if you're thinking of getting a crested gecko, or you're just generally interested, please make sure you subscribe because there's going to be quite a few. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.